There we go. All right, so we are getting ready to create our custom object for a service request. So service requests have whether or not they've been completed, the cost, some instructions. So var completed is a bool, var cost. What's this? Is an int. Instructions name. Instructions is a string. Var name is a string. Then provider size. It's gonna right now. I think it just holds the same as the type, but we're technically storing it, so we'll mimic it over here. Size is going to be actually we're storing that as a string as well, right? And is cost actually a string? No, cost is a number. Size is a string. Type. And then user is a string. Okay. And I'm actually going to go ahead and make all of these guys promised. That way we don't have to create a constructor. All right. So we're going to be reading in service requests from our Firebase thing, and we're going to store them. Actually, what we should do, let's keep it local here for right now. This will be our service request screen. Okay. Where was I? Oh, here. I'm here. So, service list, we're going to go ahead and say var data is going to be a service request array. We'll start off as the empty array there. All right, and then we need to go ahead and get our service requests. So let's get rid of this stuff. So we'll go ahead and get all of them for right now. In fact, we probably want to. Oh, some people are looking there. We're going to my office next, by the way, if we get kicked out. That way we can guarantee nobody's coming in there. Everybody can sit on Curcio's lap. All right, so we're going to go ahead and fill this up. And so we need to get our Firebase ref. So we're going to say let ref is equal to core.Firebase ref child by appending path, and this guy is called service request, service underscore requests, service underscore requests. All right, and we'll go ahead and get all of them. So we'll say ref observe event type, and we want to go ahead and have any event type that comes in. So the event type is going to be value, and that's going to be with a block. Let's go ahead and import Firebase here. That type will be dot value with block snapshot All right, so snapshot has a value that's going to be our code. So we'll go ahead and say let datum equal snapshot.value. And then we'll go ahead and say let request equal service request. Request.completed is equal to datum completed. Let's see, that guy is actually it's as a boolean. What is completed in here? Yep, it's a boolean. As bool. Make sure this is built in so far. We'll just keep. I'll steal this part afterwards.
Could you just put that in the data?
Huh?
Could datum just go straight into data?
Well, we could allow ourselves to build a service request out of a dictionary, but datum is a dictionary. So we could do that way, or we can just build it right here. So dot cost is equal to cost as int. Instructions. Instructions as string. Name provider. Size type. And that's a string, right? And then user. All right, so we'll go ahead and say trying to think, is there value in getting things that don't belong to us? Because before we were filtering, because right now we're only logging in as one. Yeah, so I think what we want to do here is say, so this is the user that requested it, right? This guy. So we're going to go ahead and who? Yeah, we have that. I'm just deciding how we can ignore it here. So what we'll do is we'll say if datum user.
Would it bother you if we work on?
No, go ahead. We've been hopping from classroom to classroom as long as you don't care if we talk.
No, you're fine.
No. I canceled my class last night and rescheduled tonight to our demise of having no classrooms. All right, so datum user as string. So let's go ahead and check if, well, we know it's going to exist. Let's say let user equal that guy. Then we can say if user is equal to core dot, I don't know if we actually stored auth data, but we can just use Firebase Ref auth data.uid. Actually, is UID guaranteed? Yep, it is. All right, so if user is equal to RID, so let's go ahead and do this. Indent. So as long as this is for us, we'll go ahead and build our request object, fill it up with all of our stuff. We know we already have user, so we won't request it again. Then we'll say self.data.append this request. And then we'll say self.tableview.reload data. And then down here, this guy is going to be self.data.count. So the number of elements that are in data will be the number of rows we have in our table view. When we tell our table view to reload itself, it will call all of these data source methods again. How many sections, how many rows, all that stuff. So it'll get an update that data count is now one larger than it used to be. And then down in here, we'll go ahead and say let req equal data at bucket index path.row. And then let's go ahead and set our text label equal to maybe snow and size or something like that. So we'll create a string here. Hyphen in the middle. All right, so let's go ahead and run this, and we should see our one guy there. What row? Let's take a look at this guy. Print datum. Oh, it gets all of them. I thought it got one of them at a time.
Value gets all of them, and then child added, and those ones give you the one that was added, and then all of them.
Well, but I thought value gave you one at a time.
No, it gives you the list of all of them. Child added would give you the one that was added, and then a list of all of them. I believe.
Okay, well actually this is all right because it's really the key, because this is whether or not we own it, right? Well, no, this is unique identifier of each thing. All right, so datum is actually a dictionary. So let's say let dictionary equal this. Just for the sake of, let's do print dictionary dot all keys. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I think we actually want to do this. For key in dictionary dot all keys. No, because a key is going to be just the key values. We need datum is going to be this. Let datum equal dictionary at bucket key. That'll be our datum. Any object as it's saying this guy. So what is that? Let's just cut this for a second. I mean, we printed it here. So that guy is a dictionary. And here's a key, here's a key. So let's just do this. Print dictionary dot all keys. We'll take a look at that. Let me just comment this out for the moment. This. And we should see all those guys as individual keys. Yep. All right, so those are the keys. For key in dictionary dot all keys, print key. Let it take me there. Just make sure that will give me each individual key. Oh, this is the issue. We have to specifically say that's a dictionary. So this should give us an object, string object pair, I think.
Give it a breakpoint on it. That should be accurate.
Yeah, we'll just run it to that. Yeah, there's our dictionary. Okay. Yep, so there's one. Yeah, the breakpoint must have just been making it act funny. All right, so what we want to do here is all keys like that. Just take the breakpoint off so we can see all of our keys. Yep, and then we should be able to take this code and bring it back into the mix. Dictionary. What? All right, fine. So that should get the actual value for that particular key. And this should fill that table. Well, not fill it. We should have one thing in our table. Oh, right now that's all of them. So we start going through here.
Well, it's right though.
Is it?
Yeah, because you.
Oh, because we're not saying the ones that are completed or not completed or anything like that. All right. All right, so this guy shows all of our service, whether they're done or not. So we probably want to section this on done versus not done versus. So then the question is, do we do this in multiple sections? Let me show you what that would look like. Let's just say we have 2 sections instead of 1. We would divide our table up, and here I'll do a section break as well, just so you can see how it would ultimately work. Well, this will show a pretty clear differentiation. I'm not sure this is necessarily the way we want to do it, because we can have section titles and stuff like that. So we could have a title for each section, like this is completed. Is that what we want to have, or do we want to have like a tab pane down here that allows us to go from screen to screen, looking at what we have pending, what's been completed, what's been accepted, that kind of stuff. Do you want to see it all in one scrollable view, or do you want to see it in like a tabbed thing where depending on what you tap, it takes you to different things? 15 seconds to decide. This decision is binding. Old Alex, make a call. You want the tab? All right. So, actually, let's think about this here. I don't know. The real question is, do I want to make icons for the tab bar? What's this?
You normally just steal those from the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand what peanut butter is not. You can get it.
All right. We're going to not listen to Alex and do it this other way. This will be quicker. We'll get more done. All right. So change that to plain. I'm going to go into... So let's see. So we need to have 3 different buckets. So it's not just data. All right, so we're going to have pending. We're going to have what's the word for the other one? Like accepted or something like that. Pending request, incomplete, and then completed. Incomplete. Completed, and then we'll say var data is going to equal pending, incomplete, and completed. So it would be a 3-bucket array like that. What's this guy upset about? Huh? doesn't like me setting it up there, so I can do I'll say data is equal to pending, incomplete, and completed. So it's an array of service request arrays. So that's what data will be. So here we need to decide what we're putting where. So if we're in here, we know it's a real thing. So if it's going to go in pending if it does not have a provider, right? So if request.provider is equal to the empty string, then pending.append request. Else if request.completed, then completed.append request. Else what's the last one? Incomplete. Incomplete.append request. So we'll add it to the correct bucket there. Oh, that's a optional type bool.
Do dot and then bool value.
Oh, the other thing was an object type.
Yeah, I don't know. They're kind of
I
weird.
gotcha.
They'll probably fix that later.
All right, so that should put it into the right bucket here. And then so we're going to have data.count number of sections, and we're going to have data at position index path. All right, perfect. Oh, this is just section. At bucket section dot count for the number of rows in this section, and then I need to get title for header in section. This is another one of the data sources. So we'll go ahead and return what is it? It's pending, incomplete, completed. Okay, and then this guy will be let request equal data at index path dot section at bucket index path dot row. Okay, so now this guy should be sorted. Row. So we put it into the right place. Let's make sure we're getting into here. Okay, so that went to incomplete. Let's just drop it down to, oh, perfect. Okay, so that one went to completed. Also went to completed. Went to incomplete. Alright, so those guys went to all real places. So let's look at this. Self data. Well, that's interesting. Why didn't real values, like these pointers, didn't hold up when we tried to put it in? We built data right here. I think we might need to do this. Data dot append pending. Data dot append incomplete. Data dot append completed. Let's try that. Why is always zero values in there? We see incomplete and completed each have one value in it.
Where are you calling the Firebase thing?
Well, it's getting called multiple times, so you can see it down here.
Yeah, but what, like, where would you call it originally? Is it in view?
View did load. That's all getting called. I think this is correct. All this stuff is getting loaded into the correct arrays,
Well, yeah,
but it's not.
So it's not going to be
these aren't pointers. There should be an array of service requests here, but so why is this guy a 1 but this guy's not?
Aren't we setting up a race condition?
No, because it's calling it multiple times because this guy tells it to reload data every time.
But, okay.
So those guys have been modified appropriately. So here, the fix should be this. Self.data at bucket 0 dot append request. And this is completed, should be bucket 2. This is incomplete, should be bucket 1. So now those guys should actually have values in them. Yep. So if I turn this off, it'll finish loading. The stuff will be there. That's actually kind of interesting. Why don't, I mean, these guys are actual pointers. I add them to this array. That's weird. Why can't I change pending and have it be changed inside of data? It's got to be like a mutable thing. Data pending, incomplete, completed. So this should also work. It's just weird. Like, why can't making changes to pending have an impact on bucket 0 of data? Those guys aren't related to each other. Let's see if it goes the other way. So we'll change the contents of data, but we would expect to see the counts in pending, completed, and incomplete also change. Because this is the original call before we were receiving stuff from, yep, so there's one value here, but nothing up here. So it's like those guys aren't even linked. All right, well then with that in mind, we're going to do this. Because we don't want to rely on remembering which bucket the so it has to be something weird with like NS mutable arrays or something, where when we copied it in, it actually passed it by value, not by reference. Sections is going to be 3, and the count is going to be pending, incomplete, completed at bucket section dot count. then down here, do that, and then it should be happy again. So an array of array pointers doesn't contain the same memory addresses. Okay, so in any case, we have 0 things pending. Although, shouldn't we have 1 thing pending? Yeah, so this guy's waiting for a provider.
How come it says it's in? So you have 4 of them, and one's an incomplete.
1, 2, 3, 4. So
How does it look in the Firebase array? Or in Firebase?
yeah, so one of them must be being misclassified based on our if statement. Oh, NA, not empty string. All right, there we go. So those are our various things from a user's perspective. So let's go ahead and let's get the provider screen up and running too, since we can model it right on this. So from a provider's perspective, they should see all requests that are pending. Eventually, we're gonna have to filter that on their address, like where they're located. But for right now, they'll just see everything. Not just. So I guess from a provider's perspective, they should see 2 things. They should see a section that shows all of the pending requests from all users, and they should see a section that shows all the requests that they have already selected that they haven't completed. And I guess they should see a 3rd section that shows all the things that they've requested and completed, at least for now. Maybe we remove one of those sections later. So let's go ahead and add that in. So that's going to be under providers. So this is going to be a provider service list table view controller. Provider service list table view controller. Create. And for right now, let's just do what I did before. We'll just put 10 things in there. Cell.textLabel.text is equal to blah. Reuse identifier is going to be cell. And then let's create this guy. That's for our provider right here. So we'll go ahead and throw the container view in there. We'll delete the guy he comes with. Create a table view as his replacement. And then do an embed on this guy. And this guy is going to be that type. And the cell is going to have a reuse identifier of cell. And that should be it for that. So we just need to log out and come back in as, oh, except this is going to be a really tiny table view. this again. We'll come back in as provider and should see whatever our provider guy has assigned. Well, actually, just should be just 10 blahs right now. Provider. Yep, so there's our blahs. So now let's go ahead and get it doing the same thing our user did, but filtered differently. So we're going to steal most of the guts of this user guy. So we have pending, we have incomplete, we have completed, and I'll actually just steal all of view did load. I think that'll just be the easiest way to copy it over. Alright, so we have to import Firebase here. Here's our service requests. Let's see, we are not interested in whether or not it matches us, right?
You do provider.
Oh, providers that are associated with us. So we're not looking at this, we're looking provider, provider, provider. There's our provider. So if the provider is us, we'll go ahead and create our request dealio, setting the provider to whatever we read before and setting the user to whatever the user is. This would never happen. Actually, no.
If there were requests that didn't have a provider and you wanted to accept it.
Okay, so this logic that I'm duplicating logic that isn't correct logic at this point. We want to look at every single one of them, not just ones that don't have a provider. So let's take this out. So we'll get everything. So all this stuff is going to happen regardless. So we'll go ahead and create our service request. If it doesn't have a provider associated with it, we'll add it to our pending list because we might want to choose that. If it does, let's see, if completed, let's see, we're going to want to say, let's just put this in a big else. So else, all this stuff could happen. This is when there is a provider. So now we want to say if request.provider is equal to core.firebaseref.authData.uid. If it's equal to us, then we want to ask these questions. If it's completed, add it to our completed list. If it's otherwise, add it to our incomplete list. And then reload our table view. So read all the services in. If there is not a provider, put it up for grabs in our pending list. Otherwise, only if we are the provider, decide if it goes in our completed or our incomplete list. If there's already a provider and it's not us, we're just going to ignore it. Nothing happens with it relative to us. Okay. And then we should be able to steal most of the stuff from down here. we should have actual stuff in there. So here's the provider. They have 1 pending, 1 incomplete, and 2 completed. Let's make sure that matches what we have on the website. So we'll log out, come back in as the provider. So we have 1 pending, 1 accepted, 2 completed. 1 pending, 2 completed, 1 incomplete. Okay. And then let's do the admin version of this. So the admin should see. I think we should, because I don't think anybody was going to want to use the website. Yeah. it's the honest truth. So the admin should see everything that's pending. Should see everything that is accepted. Actually, what do we have the admin seeing on ours? Okay. And then it's going to ultimately see the things where it needs to do payouts. All right, so those are the completed ones. So under the admin, let's do admin service list TVC. A UI table view controller. And let's go ahead and do our where is our storyboard? I'm going to move this storyboard up to the very top. Okay. Admin. Container, dump this guy. You said it's hot in here?
Oh, yeah.
Old Alex, you still got that peanut butter? I don't know why you guys gotta make it weird. I see. It doesn't really seem that warm up here to me. I'm usually the first one to get. It's like, well, maybe if you'd worn clothes tonight. See, officially, this isn't our normal, not our normal class meeting, so I don't have to adhere to normal dress code. I wasn't even going to put the Crocs on. My wife thought I would get my feet cut up in the parking lot. Funny thing is, so I told you guys she had her surgery yesterday, so she couldn't like she does all my pills and stuff for me that I take every night. Well, apparently Mondays are the refill day when she does so she didn't do it. So she's telling me after she kind of came to a little bit that, it's like, oh, you just look at the bottles. Like, her organization system is literally in Klingon. So I'm going through trying to figure out like what pills I have to take. I have no idea. I just figured at dinner at bedtime I usually take about 7 pills, so I just picked 7 pills. And I was trying to like intelligently like pick ones that are like about the same size I usually take, but I mean the reality is she has them in this little cup thing, so I didn't. She can put anything she wants in there. So yeah, then she also didn't put the water in my CPAP machine. Excuse my CPAP machine for my sleep apnea. I wear a mask thing. She has to fill it with water, so that'll get dried out. Should have called you, old Alex. Is that a what's up? Or chastity, maybe? Do you put water in CPAP machines? Do you organize pills? Well, not those kind of pills. It's like, oh yeah, I organize pills. All right. So we're gonna give this guy his identifier as cell. Here's the file type as admin service list TVC. Hooked up to this dude. Let me go ahead and add the missing constraints there. We'll go into admin here. Let's use provider as our starting point. Okay. See, now that you mention it, it does seem kind of warm in here now. I didn't notice before I was in the zone.
I cool off a little bit.
Huh?
I cooled off.
Did you?
Yeah.
Aren't you wearing like sweatpants?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's bipolar in here.
Who?
Bipolar.
I don't think that's applicable to a temperature.
Yeah, this is behavior.
Okay, so we'll get all of our service requests for an admin. We'll go ahead and build our service type. Now, if the provider is NA, then we're going to say these are pending, so we'll get all the pending ones. We might end up being interested in who the user was and organizing on that or something, but right now that's not what we're doing. So we're not interested in whether or not the provider is us. The provider shouldn't be us, but if the provider is not equal to NA, so actually we can do it the other way around. So we're going to pull these guys out. Who? Well, we didn't need to only look at it if we were the provider. So I moved that inner if statement out of there. So if the request is completed, we'll add it to our completed list. Otherwise, we'll add it to our incomplete list and then reload the table. And then we'll go ahead and steal all this. Build that. What's funny is we're going to end up having the iPhone app caught up to our web app in like one night. All right, so let's log out, come back in as the admin. Yeah, we'll do all that. Nothing popped up there. Did I not reconnect? Oh, I didn't. I never reconnected this guy here. That's an embed. There we go. All right, so here's our admin. Is that it? We have one pending Well, actually, this makes sense. It should be the same distribution as our normal provider because we only have one provider in the system. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make the trying to think about this. When the value changes in the database,
You can test that right now.
well, no, it won't change here. The way we have it written right now, it won't change here. That was the three-way data binding we had from our admin thing, but we can make it.
Doesn't it change whenever something changes? Like,
We'd have to add the observer type for it.
oh yeah.
We'd have to observe the event. So what we can do then is when something changes, but we won't actually have the
When it changes, it gives you that whole. It gives you a whole new one.
but just for the thing that changed.
Yes, with its key.
Right, but we don't have we're not storing the key. So I guess if we stored the key, we could do that.
In the dictionary, it has the key, doesn't it?
Right, but we're not storing it.
Oh.
So I guess we could do that. We can keep the unique key of our service requests. That wouldn't be a bad idea. So we'll say var key is a string, like that. And then in our code here, when we're building our service requests, we'll go ahead and say req.key is equal to key.key. What was the value for that? As string. Alright, so that should be that for admin, provider, and user. Okay, and so that's for our value. I think what we also want to do then is this. Var all is equal to service request array like this, and self.all.append request. So we'll keep a local collection of all of our service requests. That way we have one place to search through for the key. And those guys should be stored as pointers. So I guess we will find out. Oh yeah, this makes it even worse. Because we have to remove things from certain lists. Okay. All right, so that's observing that event. And then, so that's user, that's provider has the key, and admin has the key. So let's go ahead and have, well, we'll do this for admin first, I guess. actually, let me do this real quick. This would be an easy, nice, quick way for us to see the difference. So I'm going to change our cells here to no longer be custom cells. They're going to be subtitle cells. And we're going to put the cost as the subtitle.
Put the whole object in there then?
Huh?
Like the whole object of everything about that service request? As or no?
Well, I have it in a service request object.
Yes. No, could you store that in like the table view? Or no?
I guess I don't
You
know.
have multiple different subtitles for that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, you build the subtitles yourself when it gets called. So down here, when it's, so I'm going to set the text label equal to whatever the size, and I'll say self.detail text label dot text is equal to cost. Let's do $sign request dot cost. Was it divided by 100? So I'll do that for
We want it as a double then? Or strictly an integer?
well, all of ours right now are going to be integers. We're going to change it at some point, probably what we show, so we won't worry about it right now. All right, so this is for admin. So if we go and change the cost of the $500 one, we should be able to see that guy update if our ref thing. So let's do this for admin first. So we'll say ref dot observe event type dot child changed with block all right, and this guy should just be let datum, that should be just a single element. So we'll say let datum equal snapshot dot value as NS dictionary. Okay. Then we'll say, since it changed, we need to go and find the guy that changed. Ugh. We have to decide how it changed. Well, actually, no, we don't.
You could just redo the whole.
We'll just set all the values again. So we need to find the key. So we're going to say let key equal, are we going to have the key though associated with this guy?
Shouldn't that be in it? It should still be snapshot.key.
Oh, I think you're probably right. So for request in self.all, do we do that in all these? Oh, we didn't. Okay. Back to those guys. Let's see, for request in self.all, if request.key is equal to snapshot.key, that means we're dealing with the right guy. So we can go ahead and just update everything. We don't need to change the key. We know the key is what it used to be. But one of these values presumably has been changed, right? And then we'll say self.tableview. Oy. Reload data. It'll finish spilling through because I don't think you can break out. I think it'll yell at us if we try to do that. Oh, I was okay with that. Okay. So this should be, this is in admin right now. This will be our test case just for changing. But, you know, we'll, some of these things, the change might means it needs to move from one of our arrays to a different array. We'll just change a cost value for right now. We should see it update. So here's the admin. Let's change the cost for this guy to something else. So that's this one. Here we'll increase it by 1. So now it should be 5,000.
No, it did update it.
Yeah.
No, twice.
Let me update it twice.
Go back to it. No, the simulator.
Oh. Cool. That's weird.
Updated it automatically. Without you having to do that.
No, that's not, there's no possible way. The real question is why would it be here twice right now? Let's just see when it stops in there. All right, so it's currently 5,000. Oh, it's paused on here. All right, so datum looks like that. So it got its update. Why would that have happened? It only hit this once. We located our request. We changed some values in there.
Top one on, is that an observer or is it just a value? Yeah, it's because, so if you scroll up, that one's observer event type dot value, which always returns the exact same, it returns the entire data, the entire list.
Gotcha. So that's why we have the duplicate. So we really want to have this observe the single event. That'll get it once, and then all the other things should be updates. So we'll get the initial data snapshot, and then we'll allow that to change. All right, so that's currently 50,000. Let's take it back to 5,000. Yep, there's the 5,000.
So we wouldn't have needed to do that then.
What do you mean?
If we would have just kept it with that value, it would have just done the entire thing again, rather than.
That's true, but we would have had to empty our arrays and have them rebuild.
Oh, that's why I gave the duplicate.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's why I gave the duplicate.
No, it didn't do the whole thing. It just added the one additional thing. So we got the original thing, and then any time the value changed, yeah, I think this is the more right way of doing it. This way we know that it's specifically something we already have that's altered. All right, so let's change the other guys to observe the single events. Okay. All right, but now for admin, when the child changed, we need to possibly move some stuff around. So before we just set completed, well, actually, we can go ahead and set it and then ask some questions. We know it's already in place, but now we could just ask the follow-up questions to decide where it ultimately should be. So let's say if request dot, oh, but that doesn't really tell us where it.
Where it was.
Oh, actually, you know, maybe the easiest way of doing this.
Would it be just to sort all?
No, we'll, as soon as we find it, we'll remove it from everything and then just re-add it. So we'll use the exact same logic we did up here for adding it. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and I think we could remove a self dot completed dot remove that's perfect. Let var pause is equal to self dot pending dot index of request. If pause, I wonder what that guy returns if I didn't find it. Index of, it's going to return nil if it's not found. Request if pause not equal to nil, that means it's in there, so we'll say self dot pending dot remove at index, pause. Else pause is equal to self dot incomplete dot index of request. If pause not equal to nil, self dot incomplete dot remove at index, pause. Else pause is equal to self dot. Actually, if we're here, we know it must be in this last guy, right? Oh, we still need to do it. Pause is equal to self dot complete dot index of request. We'll ask the question. If pause not equal to nil, self dot complete dot remove at index, pause. All right, so when that series of, let's see, value of optional index, we unwrapped it, but we didn't. All right, so when this if-else structure is complete, we know that we have successfully removed our request from the three different buckets. Then we'll go ahead and append him back into the correct place. Re-add based on new data, like that. Okay, so run this again. So now when the guy changes price, he's not going to move into a different category, so we'll go improve that. So we'll change this guy to one more 0. Okay, but now let's change his complete to something else. So now it should be incomplete. So here's the guy with the old zeros. So completed is now going to be false. And now he's moved into the incomplete category. And then if we turn his provider off, except now it should be n/a, he moves into the pending category. Okay, so he seems to be shifting around nicely. Oh, we'll leave it as pending for now. Okay, so that guy appears to be handling those changes. So let's do the same thing for the other dudes. This is admin, so now we'll do it for provider. We will ask the provider questions. Okay. Let's go ahead and test our provider while we're at it. No problem. All right, so let's log out, come back in as a provider, log in. Okay, so let's make some modifications to that. 2 more zeros onto that guy. Ooh, that's an expensive. I pre-filtered it. That's an expensive plow job. Old Alex. Killing me, you and the peanut butter. Alright, so that changed there. Let's say that's probably good. We say completed is now true. Go back in here. Oh, that's pending. So he's not going to notice that change. So that's good. Okay. So we're good there. And then let's do the same thing here on our user. Oh. Alright, same stuff, except when we add it back, we'll use the user's add back stuff. Okay. We'll run it as a user. Alright. Alright, seems to be updating. Okay. Like that. Alright, so let's see. Is that a decent stopping point? So user is showing stuff. But we aren't adding a new service yet. We need to do that. Then we have admin, or a provider needs to be able to accept a okay. All right, so question. Do you want to take a relatively short break, keep going and try to finish up early? Or do you want to take our normal break and finish up at normal time? 15 seconds, vote. Because I'm motivated to keep going, so we can just, in fact, we can take no break and still finish up at the normal time.
Let's not do that.
Well, you don't like that plan? You guys aren't very fun at all, are you? That was my ad hoc gong for you, old Alex.
Why is it for old Alex?
Why not?
Well, why is it for him? Why is it for the rest?
What is that? Like, what is people?
Huh?
Is people? Did we decide? All right, take 10 minutes.